Hello, and welcome back to Anxious at Bedtime. That was stupid. Welcome to Anxious at Bedtime.
I think it was cute. Good job.
No, terrible.
Yeah. Welcome back.
I'm one of your hosts. I'm Cash.
Oh, yeah. I'm Monica. And Kevin is in the pod room today. So if you hear him, that's him.
Indeed. That's him.
That's him.
So a little bit. Whoa.
Whoa.
What do you got?
You first.
I was just going to say we got a little bit of new stuff going on, world stuff.
Oh, see, that's a good place to start. I was just going to say welcome back to the podcast that keeps you up at night.
Oh, you could say that, yeah.
I already did. It's your turn.
Welcome back to the podcast that keeps you up at night. There you go.
Thank you.
Shout out. No, I was just going to say there's a lot of new stuff going on in the world right now, like the bombs with Iran and Israel and all that shit. It's pretty crazy. They're talking about nuclear stuff.
Yeah, scary stuff.
Yeah. There's a guy back in like 2010, his name was Bill Ryan, predicting COVID, basically, that China would have a severe cold that would basically shut down like totalitarian military style lockdown, which kind of happened. And then he predicted, pretty much said that after that, the real war would start. And then the Third World War basically start with a nuclear exchange, kind of what we're on the brink of, which is crazy. Another person predicting all this shit back in like 2010.
Which is also weird because that does line up a lot with what Save 7 was talking about. We mentioned that last week. Some sort of entity coming through the Ouija board, talking to a woman and her husband, saying the end of the world was going to start, like something was going to initiate it.
Yeah, basically something's going to kick off the end of the world.
On May 27th of this year, yeah. And the end of the world lines up with that prediction too.
Yeah, and they're saying that there's a lot of energy shifts along with the world right now too that just started 2 days ago, right when, Israel and Iran started having these issues too. So, I mean, that's what I was drawing comparison to was our conversation of 7 and kind of this other guy. Everyone's just predicting all this shit that kind of coincides. I don't think it's all, I mean, maybe people have heard other theories of it, other conspiracies of it, but it's kind of just all coincides along with all these volcanoes erupting. Mm-hmm. Granted, the world has hundreds of volcanoes erupting every year, or that's hundreds fair. Of volcano eruptions every year. I get that. Like, all these things that were part of the predictions. But the craziest part is in my life, this is like my 894th time that they're talking about the world's about to end.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, I'm to the point where, like, do it or shut up. Yeah.
I get that. It's a lot of stress. I'm hoping at the very least it's like that one conspiracy that 2012 was the end of the world, but it was the end of like that dimension and we shifted to a new dimension.
That's what I was going to say too. Yeah. Was maybe, these 894 times that the world's ended in my lifetime, it really does. And yeah. I'm just, I have the memory or I have the energy continuing along all these different timelines.
Yeah.
Where it didn't.
Exactly.
But for other dimensions or timelines may have, but either way, like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
The fuck?
But that's what I'm banking on, is if it is the end of the world, we won't actually know because we'll just jump into another timeline, another dimension, and keep on keeping on.
And shift on out of it.
Yeah. Ooh, I almost flipped my chair. Oops.
That would have been cool.
No, there's not even enough room to flip it, but scary. What else you got?
Another huge conspiracy that I saw was there was 3 people that broke out of Alcatraz, right? Mm-hmm. Like in 1960, whatever the hell. And then just a few years later, there was 3 people that also landed on the moon.
Oh.
And they kind of have very similar facial structures and look very eerily similar.
I've never heard that one before.
Yeah, there's a possibility that they didn't really escape Alcatraz and they were just kind of part of this CIA operative that, all these conspiracy theories. May merely be a coincidence, though.
That's fun, though.
Yeah, it was wild.
And then...
Oh, that's all I had to it. Yeah, it was pretty interesting to see. Like, that's a pretty fun new conspiracy theory I saw.
Yeah.
Other than that, I ain't got shit.
Okay. I don't think I have anything either this week.
Unreal.
We did forget to talk about, for a couple episodes, the weird stuff we experienced during our haunted eBay episode. So basically, mid-recording, our recording device died. Like, the battery just completely drained.
I just fucking changed those batteries, too, the week before, and these shits last, 6 months.
Yeah, that was, I think, the first time we changed the batteries since we started this podcast last June.
No, I've changed them a couple times.
Oh.
But, literally, they last for, 5-6 months at a time, no matter what we do with this recorder. I just changed them like the week before,
Yeah.
and they fucking died.
Yeah.
And I tried those
Mid-recording.
batteries on other shit, and they didn't work.
That's weird.
Just fucking died all the way.
But yeah, mid-recording. So that was wild because even if you've changed them, if you have to change the batteries every 6 months, we've only had this podcast a year. So that's...
I guess my timeline doesn't add up. But yeah, I've changed them at least twice.
Yeah.
Now 3 times.
So that's crazy. And then when we were doing the research, I kept having weird glitches. And remember, I had to stop, or not the research, the editing. And I had to stop editing for like 3 days because nothing was working.
Yeah, I kept having to reset it over and over and over, and it just wouldn't work.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like it wasn't like the internet-based things. It was the software.
Yeah.
That is, like, it is installed on the computer. The computer didn't have any functionality issues with any other programs or anything. It was just the editing.
Yeah, it was super weird. And then there was something else.
Hopefully that shit don't happen again this week. 'Cause
Yeah.
you were mad. Big mad.
Big mad. I don't remember, but just little weird stuff like that. So, yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because that was super weird.
It was odd.
And I guess we can just jump into this week's episode.
Oh, what do we got this week? You guys, it's never a lie. I never know what's coming up.
Not never.
She may tell me.
Yeah.
I don't recall. So I never know. It's always a surprise.
Even that one week when you did the episode.
I was pretty fucking surprised that I had to do it. Yeah, that was wild. That was out of pocket of you. But I did it.
Yeah, you did. Okay. This week, we're talking about a ghost town.
Ooh.
But it isn't an ordinary ghost town.
Oh, is it extraordinary?
It is.
An extraordinary ghost town?
This place is so strange, so twisted in rumor and history that it got wiped off the map.
Oh, great.
This is a place blamed for madness, death, disappearances, and even dimensional rifts. The kind of place where compasses spin, birds don't sing, and people claim to see the shadows move even in the daylight. This is the story of Dudleytown, Connecticut, a town that doesn't want to be remembered and yet refuses to be forgotten.
Well, I know you now, and as you heard just a few minutes ago, I will forget you.
It's true. Our story starts with Edmund Dudley. You know him?
No, is this town named after people? After the family?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's how you know it's going to be bad.
Yeah. That's how it started.
No offense, people where your town is named after your family and your bloodline, but there's some secrets there.
Oh, yeah.
Some dog shit.
Often, yeah. Edmund was a man who understood power, not just how to gain it, but how to serve it.
Like electricity?
No.
Power, how to get it and how to turn it on?
Not that.
Oh, okay.
He was born either around 1462 or 1472. Historians aren't really sure. But what historians do know is he was born into a rising gentry family. And a gentry is like a high social class in the UK.
Oh, yeah, I was going to ask.
Yeah. So Edmund was not only one of the sharpest legal minds and members of parliament in that era, he was also fiercely loyal to the crown.
Ooh.
And it was those traits that caught the eye of King Henry VII. You see, at that time, King Henry had a problem. When he became king, the monarchy had a lot of debt, and he knew money needed to be raised in order to strengthen their finances. So, King Henry saw this apparent finance protege and thought he was the perfect man for the problem. So Edmund and another man named Richard Empson became infamous for enforcing the king's financial policies, no matter how controversial. Yeah, and they went down in history
books.
books.
Sounds like a hitman.
That's kind of what it sounded like it was alluding to. But for sure, they went down in history books as like tax collectors.
Yeah, enforcers for the mob.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. The two of them were ruthless and efficient.
Uh-huh.
And they made sure even to collect finances from noble families, especially if they posed a threat to the king's reign.
Oh, yeah, you going fucking thugged out.
Yeah. And they did that in order to basically just keep people under control and keep the king with as much power as possible.
Yeah, sounds like what happened all the time.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Still does, allegedly.
Allegedly. So, of course, that made them incredibly unliked by a lot of people, but it also made them indispensable to the king.
Ooh.
Yeah. And Edmund knew that, and he thrived off it. He himself grew increasingly wealthy and influential because he was,
Yeah,
yeah,
you kind of enforce yourself to get that money
yeah,
and become influential. Kind
yeah,
of enforce it, allegedly.
allegedly. And that just made people like him even less. And it fueled rumors that he was basically like embezzling money from the throne.
Yeah, you say, hey, you gonna give me more money or I'm gonna break your fucking legs. It sounds like embezzlement.
It does, yeah,
Well, business to him.
to him. Then the king died, and Henry VIII took over.
Ooh, that's the one that kept cutting people's heads off.
That's the one that cut
All
heads
right.
off. And he wanted to shake things up, and he had Dudley and Empson, his
Henchman.
his partner or whatever, arrested on what were allegedly pretty flimsy charges of treason.
Ooh, the deadly loyal people were.
Yeah, the
that must have
fiercely
fucking made 'em
loyal.
mad.
Yeah.
Those guys are big mad.
Because basically, I guess, because of how harsh all of the tax stuff was, King Henry VII was not a very liked man. And so when Henry VIII came in, he was like, well, I want to be popular. I want people to like me. So anything that was kind of like harsh, especially with taxes, he was like, well, let's get rid of it. I want people to like me. So he was like, fuck you, Dad. And so.
We don't need all that money. We still got some.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because King Henry VII did leave them in a very good spot financially because of how he raised money. So, yeah, Henry VIII was like, we don't have to keep doing that. So, what better way to make people like me than arrest the people that were raising the money? So, the charges of treason. Basically, when Henry VII was on his deathbed, Dudley assembled men.
How many are we talking, like 6 or 7?
It didn't specify, but it's believed the reason that he did that was because he was worried there would be civil unrest, like riots, that sort of thing, when the news that the king had passed started to spread.
Oh, you got a gang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But some people also believe that he did it for self-preservation because he knew he ruffled a lot of feathers and he was a very unliked man. So when his protector, the king, passed away, he was in danger.
I stand on what I said. You got a gang.
Yeah. And he was right. He was in danger after the king passed away because Henry VIII said that Edmund assembled the men in order to overtake the throne, and he was arrested and sentenced. Then on August 17th, 1510, Edmund Dudley was beheaded.
Ooh. See, I told you this guy liked cutting fucking heads off.
Yeah.
I lied. It wasn't just his wives. It was other people.
Yeah.
He's just like, you know what? And we fucking off with her head.
Yeah.
We portray the fucking Queen of Hearts that bad. Oh,
Yeah.
they're making fun of this guy.
It's just crazy times all around, for
It's
sure.
like, you want to get a gang? Ain't no gang in my land. This is my territory, Holmes. Cut his head off. And they're like, hold on. And they waited a little bit. Wild.
Yeah.
But it's not about that, huh?
It's not.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because we're in the wrong country still.
Yeah, we are. But that's where our story really begins, is with Edmund Dudley being beheaded. Because according to legend, it was right around the time of the beheading that somebody placed a curse on the Dudley lineage. It was probably somebody that had beef with Edmund. Like I said, he was very unliked. But supposedly there was a curse that his family would be followed by death and misfortune.
Probably one of those gang members that got tied up with him was like, bro, if you get me fucking killed, I'm cursing your whole family.
Maybe. I don't know that he got those people killed, though. But,
You think they just arrested him and not his gang?
I don't know.
Maybe.
It didn't say anything about that. But it sounds like he robbed a lot of people.
Yeah, he was the enforcer. He had to go collect them taxes.
Yeah. But also some places report that he was the one that made the curse. I don't really understand why he would, though.
He cursed his own family.
Yeah.
That's fucked up, but,
But regardless, there's rumors that there was a curse. And that curse continued with John Dudley, Edmund's son.
That's who they named the town after.
Nope.
Oh.
John was beheaded in 1553 after Queen Elizabeth I took the throne.
Oh, so the whole family just likes cutting heads off.
No, gets their heads cut off.
No, I'm talking about the fucking royal family.
Oh, yeah.
They just talk about
At
the
least-
one guy and his wives, not the other ones. They're like, cut off that whole family's head, the whole lineage.
Yeah, at least
Does
for a
that guy have
while.
a cousin? Get that fucking head too.
But wait. Then there was Guildford Dudley, John's son.
Not named after
So-
him either, huh?
No.
Did he die with a head?
No.
Oh,
So we have
fucking told you.
the grandfather, then his son, and then now this is his son. So that's 3
Yeah.
generations.
Grandfather, dad, son.
Yeah. And Guildford was also beheaded in 1554.
Wait, what year was his daddy beheaded?
1553.
So just the fucking next year?
Yeah.
And like, so what was it? What year was the granddaddy?
1510.
At least they got like a 45 or 43-year break.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like 43 years. And they're like, you know what? Fuck it. You found him? Take that guy's head. Did he have
Yeah.
a kid? And I told you.
Yeah.
Bet if you look at the lineage, they got some cousins and shit too.
Yeah,
The
but
uncle.
it goes hard. But a lot of them were a lot of the familial deaths were like of the time. So I didn't include all of those. So Guildford Dudley, beheaded. Guildford also had a brother named Ambrose who was a military officer. And when he returned from France, he
They said, fuck
allegedly...
his head.
No.
Oh.
He allegedly brought the plague to his troops.
So he was like, fuck your heads.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Then there was another brother named Robert, who, from what I could find, wasn't beheaded, but his first wife did die from falling down the stairs.
And her head popped off?
It didn't say, but she died from falling down the stairs.
So it's possible. Not
Yeah.
plausible, but
And
possible.
it was ruled an accident, so he didn't murder her. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
I like the way we say that when they didn't commit a crime. They allegedly didn't.
Yeah. But so that's just, like I said, just a little taste of all the weird deaths.
Yeah, that lady took a tumble down the stairs and her head popped off. Like, that's pretty wild.
Yeah.
I'm just going with it.
I'm letting you have your moment. But now we're going to fast forward a few centuries to the 1740s when the Dudley descendants set off for America.
Oh, so it took a while.
Yeah.
Okay, so it wasn't named after any of those guys.
No.
Okay. Go ahead.
Some people say they left the UK in hopes of outrunning the curse.
They wanted to keep their heads.
Yeah. Others say that they weren't even actually descendants of Edmund Dudley, just that they shared a name.
That's possible, too.
Yeah.
Or everyone's like, fucking, they left the country to disown them.
Maybe, yeah. But regardless, they were also plagued by misfortune, and I wanted to include the UK Dudleys just because that was a lot of weirdness, and that's allegedly where the curse starts.
Okay, fair enough.
But regardless of how they got there, they fled England and settled in colonial America and found themselves drawn to the shadowy hills of northwestern Connecticut. Despite being a settlement, not an actual town, they decided to name it Dudleytown. The name stuck, and so it seems, did the curse. Because it was never an actual town, that meant it didn't have its own government. It never had its own schools, churches, anything like that, but it was considered part of Cornwall, a town that still stands today.
So did they at least have like a little sign that said "Welcome to Dudleytown"?
No.
Yeah, they just named their neighborhood. That's
Yeah,
all right.
basically.
Jonestown.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Woof. Dudleytown was nestled in between a bunch of large hills and surrounded.
Surrounded.
The country twang pops out sometimes. Surrounded by lush trees, which is said to make it hard for sunlight to hit the town. So it was often very dark, even in the middle of the day, and people have reported that, like, at noon, it looks like nighttime.
That'd be nice.
I don't know. I like sunlight.
I do too sometimes. But if I wanted sunlight, I could traverse for that.
That's fair, I guess.
If I wanted it bad enough, I could go over there and get it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's hard to go and find shade to where there's no sunlight, no light let in.
Yeah.
And you can do artificial light, you know.
That doesn't work, I swear.
Yeah, but blocking out light don't work either.
Yeah,
I'm not a vampire.
not so sure.
I'm not, dude. I go in the sun all the time. I love sun. I do, but like, I'm a moody fella. I like to fucking keep it dark and chill.
The area had rocky land with a thin layer of topsoil that made farming nearly impossible. It was very isolated. There weren't any stores, like I said, and it was far from trade routes, rivers, and even roads. And then to top it all off, winters in the area were also extremely harsh.
So they kind of like set themselves up to be cursed.
Yeah, set
Yeah,
themselves up for
That's
failure.
what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Let's set up desolate where, you know, this unestablished place is even more unestablished.
Yeah.
That's a little wild, especially when you come from a place that has, stores and civilization.
But so that's wild. But from the start, the area was plagued with hardship. Like I said, the land was rocky and unforgiving. So crops failed, people grew sick, and over the years, misfortunes piled up like bodies. One cursed victim was Nathaniel Carter and his family. Legend goes that Nathaniel was on a business trip when. So this legend goes two ways. One way, he was on a business trip when Native Americans attacked his home and killed his wife and infant child. The other way is they got sick by the plague and they passed away while he was gone. But both of them, when he returned and learned what happened, he didn't want to stay in Dudleytown any longer, so he returned to New York, which is where he was from, but the curse seemed to follow him, and he was murdered shortly after returning home.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Got him too.
Yeah. So that's scary.
So, probably was the plague.
I kind of think so.
Yeah.
And then that's what's so hard about this is there's so much lore and so much information, but so much of it is hard to pinpoint what's real and what's not because it's so like Bloody Mary. Like people just make their own
so
spin-offs
many different
and
stories.
Yeah.
Different variants of what happened, the game, telephone, all that shit.
Exactly.
That's all of history though.
That's fair, but at least a lot of the stuff we cover, I can find documents.
Some people write it down, and
yeah
that's fair.
I couldn't find much.
Doesn't mean it's accurate, but
that's true. But yeah, there was some stories say that they had moved into one of the original town founders' homes, and so that's why they had all this super like harsh misfortune. Yeah, it's just really weird.
It is.
But another victim was Abiel Dudley. I forgot to look that up, but I think that's it.
How do you spell it?
Abiel. It might be Abel. Abiel. He was one of the original 3 settlers because I think I forgot to put that in my notes. There were 3 Dudleys that came to town. They settled, and then a few months later, a 4th one came and settled with them. He did live to the age of 90.
Oh, yeah, so he lived a whole ass life.
But people said he went insane pretty early on.
To be fair, for them, they might have thought he was insane, but in his head, he could have been having the fucking time of his life, living in a fucking great land.
That's fair.
Just because he's not living in reality doesn't mean he's suffering.
That's fair. He did also lose his entire fortune.
See? So maybe he wasn't suffering from losing his fortune. He was living in a false reality where he was still rich and thriving.
Maybe, hopefully.
He lived to be 90.
He did, yeah.
He could have fucking died a lot earlier.
Yeah.
So I don't think he was... No, I think maybe he got a break from the bad reality and maybe lived a happy life in his fucking crazy delusions.
I hope so, but it is weird because as you'll see, there's kind of a trend of people like going insane in this town. So that's weird.
Yeah, so maybe it's a break in a dimension.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe there's a dimensional fucking portal. There's a league of people seeing shit. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
You're good. Then there was Gershon Hollister. He was building a barn for a neighbor named William Tanner when he fell from the barn to his death. But this is another story that's a little weird because some people say he was murdered. Some people say he fell to his death. But the interesting part is William Tanner, the guy who he was building the barn for, said that creatures came out of the forest and killed Gershon.
Oh, that guy killed him. He didn't want to pay for it.
I don't think so.
I do now. He's like, some wild creatures. I don't know what they were. He was on a ladder. They fucking don't know what they were. They came out of the woods. They jumped up on the roof, up on the ladder, and they fucking pushed him off. He fell to his death. No, that guy was like, shit, dude, this guy's doing an ass job. I don't want to pay him. And he fucking
I don't
shook
think
the
so.
ladder.
I'm not accusing him of murdering anybody.
I'm not.
But
I'm just,
he did. William Tanner, the one whose barn was being built, was one of the people that went insane. Because he said these things came out of the forest, killed this guy. Nobody believed him. And he just, he broke mentally.
Could be that. Could be guilt. Either way, I'm not saying he did. I'm not saying he didn't. I'm just saying there could have.
I don't think so. I think he saw something weird. But yeah, I don't know. William Tanner did live to be 104. And to the very last day, he insisted that creatures came out of the woods at night. Not just on that night, but often. Then there was a woman named Sarah Fay who was standing on her front porch one day when she was struck by lightning. Then her husband, General Heman Swift, was rumored to have gone insane.
So maybe this town has a gas leak?
There is a theory about the going insane. Remind me at the end. I have to look it up.
Okay.
But I think it's important to note that, like I said, there were 3 original founders, and then the 4th guy joined them. 3 of those 4 moved away, and they lived long, happy lives. But the one guy that stayed lost his fortune, went crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It's weird. But the curse allegedly followed that one guy, so I don't know why it didn't follow the founders.
Because maybe it didn't. Again, maybe there's something weird with just where they established it. Maybe it's sacred ground that they should have established on. There's a lot of different things that it could be.
Yeah, lots of theories there.
Like I said, portal. Could be a leak. Could be
Yeah.
sacred ground. It maybe nothing to do with them except for where they're at and where they chose.
Maybe.
Once they, made amends, said sorry and got the fuck out of there, they were like, all right. Thank you for leaving.
And we'll talk about that more at the end.
Okay.
But after the Civil War, people started packing up and leaving Dudleytown. A lot of people started moving west around that time, with westward expansion and all that.
Yeah.
But some people stayed behind. And one of those people was John Patrick Brophy and his family. But the curse soon caught up to them too. The Brophy wife fell ill and passed away from tuberculosis. Then his 2 children disappeared into the forest.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Rumors have swirled for years that it could have been an intentional vanishing, like they ran away. Because I guess shortly before that, they were accused of theft.
Oh.
Yeah. But there's never been any proof that they wanted to run away or that they even had the means to run away. They just disappeared.
To be fair, back then, nobody had the means to or not to. That's just kind of how life was you just fucking went.
That's
There was
fair.
no real establishment like there is now, no trackability like that.
Yeah, but they took like horses or whatever, right?
Sometimes we watched a lot of shows on these that were based on real life events, remember? And they sometimes they took horses, sometimes they just walked off and then they found horses, met up with random people, made deals to fucking take off.
That's fair.
Nobody, all it was word of mouth. There's no real trackability. So, I mean, that was the way of life. Maybe they didn't fucking tell anybody and they just dipped.
That's a good point.
That'd be cooler than, they got out there safe instead of just, something bad happened to them.
Yeah. But regardless, the children were never seen again. But then the Brophy house somehow caught fire and burned to the ground. And shortly after, Brophy himself walked into the woods and he too was never seen again.
Oh, yeah. See?
Yeah.
He's like, I gotta go meet my family. It's been that long. I'm supposed to meet them down in St. Louis.
Hopefully it was something like that. But that was the last reported experience for a while. And as time went on, Dudleytown became more and more deserted. By the early 1900s, there wasn't anybody left. But the curse wasn't done yet. One day, Dr. William Clark visited Cornwall, and he was awestruck by the area.
Just thought it was beautiful over there.
Yeah. He quickly fell in love with the lush green trees, the rolling hills, the open nature. Almost as if something was pulling him in, he couldn't get enough. He was a very successful surgeon, a professor, and a leading cancer specialist. So unfortunately for him, he had the money to buy a lot of land in Cornwall, so he did. And that land included the area that was once Dudleytown.
I knew it.
Yeah. He built a summer house there, and he and his family mostly used it for short vacations.
Still sounds like a little too much involvement there, but we'll see.
It was during one of those trips when the doctor was called away for an emergency at work. But his wife was like, look, we're on vacation. I know you got stuff to do. I'll just wait here, and you come back as soon as you can.
Does it say where they were from?
I believe New York.
Yeah, that's quite a bit. It's not that far of a drive. But
Yeah. But he wasn't gone long. He left, he did what he needed to, and then just 36 hours later, he returned. But what he found when he returned shook him to his core. His wife was completely distressed and had gone insane, insisting that creatures from the forest came out and attacked her. And after that, she was never the same, and she spent the rest of her life in a mental institution until she passed away.
Maybe there rarely are, crazy creatures in this fucking forested area, though.
I kind of think so.
Maybe there's, again, a portal. Things
Yeah.
are coming out get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Protecting it.
So Clark kept his home in Dudleytown, and eventually, years later, he formed The Dark Entry Forest Association,
A cult.
making it a private forest since 1924, but we'll talk more about that in a second.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Clark stayed close to the area until he passed away. From what I could tell, it kind of sounds like he moved there permanently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When he established that thing?
Yeah. But he was fine. Like, nothing weird happened to him. He didn't lose his mind. He didn't have a weird death.
Well, you got to tell me about what this thing he created there was.
I will in a minute.
Maybe that tells us what happened. Insanity.
So, just a weird little tidbit. Connecticut native paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren,
Oh, them?
the ones whose cases inspired the Conjuring films, Annabelle, all of that,
Mm-hmm.
they once did a TV special based on Dudleytown. And in it, they said that they believed that Dudleytown is demonically possessed. They claimed the forest itself was cursed and a place where evil had taken root.
Well, from what you've told me, I think they might be right, but who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I stand on this one at all.
Yeah, I'm a skeptic, so there's a lot of different theories I have.
Yeah. Although the Warrens never documented a full investigation there, their mention of Dudleytown was enough to inspire a new wave of curiosity seekers. And shortly after it aired, people started coming forward with personal, unexplained experiences from Dudleytown. To be clear, it is illegal to go to Dudleytown today.
Why? Because that guy created something there? He wanted to?
Yeah, because of that.
Is it like a nationally funded program now?
I don't know. I don't think it's nationally funded, but it is to make it like preserve the forest. Yeah.
So in order for it to be illegal, further than like trespassing on somebody's private property, it would have to be like government funded.
That's the thing, is it's trespassing. Everything I saw was just like it's illegal because you can't trespass.
Oh yeah, yeah. So that's just like going on to any national forestry property.
Yeah. But yeah, it's illegal to go there. So we don't recommend going there.
Okay. I don't.
But some people obviously still have gone there, and they've reported hearing footsteps out in the woods, especially footsteps circling them at night. People
Things checking them out.
Yeah, something. People have described the area as being bizarrely quiet, like uncomfortably quiet. I read some stories where there would be normal forest sounds and then all of a sudden it would go dead silent. But then I also read some stories where it would be normal forest sounds and then all of a sudden every single creature would start like screeching at once.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I don't know. I've never heard the screeching thing before.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah. People have even said that there's no birds, no crickets, nothing like that, despite the Cornwall Historical Society blog saying it has a huge population of birds. So that was weird.
And probably frogs.
Yeah.
I presume there's frogs and shit like that all over there.
Yeah, actually, there's one story on Reddit that somebody went there and they're exploring. And when they got to like the rubble where the town used to be
Yeah.
and the houses and stuff, there was just like a blanket of frogs. And that kind of like the one year we went to Tahoe, you couldn't walk anywhere without having to like scoop frogs out of your way.
7,000 fucking frogs.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So like it's so lush and green, and then the moisture, like it just seems like there'll be a lot of frogs over there, especially in the forestry and swampy-ish areas like you described earlier.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So how weird though that some people experience not seeing
No
a
sound,
single creature,
no seeing, no
not
sound,
hearing,
no nothing.
yeah.
Yeah, that's.
and then other
summer
people
screeches.
get the exact opposite where it's like everything comes out at once.
Yeah, the freaks come out at night.
Yeah, something. That's very odd. People have reported hearing whispers coming from the trees. They say the area of Dudleytown is several degrees colder than the surrounding areas. People have experienced electronic malfunctions. One person said that as soon as they got to what used to be Dudleytown, like the actual area, they lost cell phone service, and as soon as they exited that perimeter, they gained service again. So not even like as soon as they got to the forest, it was as soon as they got within like the rubble. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like when we went to Area 51.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to the fucking dirt path, and it was like, yeah, you don't need none of your fucking electronics in your car. Your cell phones don't work. None of your fucking radar in your car works. None of your sensors.
What's weird is I actually mentioned that in here too.
It's crazy.
Yeah, let me see it. Because some people have even said they were followed by shadows in the trees before they even reached any of the ruins. And so that made me think of how we were followed by birds. because I don't know if we've ever
Birds
talked.
and whatever the fuck else was out in that desert, dude. Whatever that shit was that Aaron and Billy kept talking about.
Yeah.
Shit
But
behind the rocks.
I don't know if we've ever talked about this on the podcast before, but a few years ago we went to Vegas. We drove down from Oregon, and on our way home we were like, let's go try to see Area 51, because that was after the alien clapping cheeks and all of that.
Yeah, Storm Area 51 was all over, so we were like, maybe we'll get some party supplies, like
Yeah.
some leftovers.
Yeah, because that people were saying like you could go there, and the people that did try to storm Area 51 were
yeah.
able to drive up and like turn around right there, so you could
And
see
talk
it.
to the guards and shit.
Yeah, so we're like, okay, like let's try it. People have had good luck. It sounds like it might be cool. So we tried, but for real, as soon as we turned onto the road, it was like at the end of this really long dirt road. And as soon as we turned onto the road, birds started following us and were like keeping pace with our car. We'd slow down and they'd slow down. We'd speed up, they'd speed up. It was so weird.
And they would not land, and
No.
it was not different birds. It was like a group of like 5 or 6 of the same fucking birds.
Yeah.
And then her little brother and cousin, they kept seeing something on the one side of the car, the passenger side of the car, like duck and dodge behind rocks.
Yeah.
Like every few feet, when they'd look out in the desert, they'd see it like scatter and then follow. So they couldn't figure out what it was. They thought it was like reflection.
Yeah.
And
I
then-
never saw that part, but I was.
And then once we got close enough to the gate where we could see it with the naked eye is when all the sensors in the car went on, and then they quit working.
Yeah. And so we were panicking. We were like, our freaking car is going to break down out here in the middle of nowhere. We got close enough to where we could see the gates, but we did not go up to the gates because I started panicking. And then we turned around and left. And as soon as we turned off that dirt road, everything was fine.
No, it wasn't that. It was fucking like half an hour later, remember?
Oh, yeah. We turned off. No, it was as soon as we turned off the dirt road, the birds stopped following, I think.
And then half an hour later, like on the main road, on the main highway, 30 minutes from where we turned onto the dirt road,
Yeah.
all my sensors finally turned off.
Yeah.
My check engine light, my crash collision warning, all that shit. Finally, all the lights turned off, and my vehicle acted normal again.
Yeah.
I was tripping, though. I was like, what the fuck?
But it reminded me of that because the thing's just following them before you even get to it. That's what I pictured.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Except for dark and green and not desert.
Yeah. But my favorite reports are from people that claim to have seen strange lights in the sky. The lights are usually accompanied by strange sounds, and weirdly enough, a thick mist that seems to climb out of the ground. But some people say the mist is poisonous if breathed in. I don't know if that's real. That's the rumor. So don't breathe it in if you go and you see it. But
Just in case.
yeah, but the mist has been nicknamed the devil's breath. Yeah, and I guess it's really creepy. Like it looks like mist straight out of a scary movie. Like it's crawling on the ground towards you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ground fog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So back to the Dark Forest Association. Dark Entry Forest Association.
Dark Entry Forest Association.
In 1924, Dr. William Clark, along with his second wife and some friends, they created the Dark Entry Forest Association, or DEFA. Their original goal? Conservation and recreation. I did forget to put that in my notes, but I read somewhere that originally they wanted to put in a ski resort or something, but I didn't verify that. But it is an interesting little tidbit if they really did and then they never did anything with it.
That'd be fun if they did. They're like, come to this haunted ski resort.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know if it's haunted, but you come here and you don't leave.
Yeah.
You might. We don't know. You'll just disappear, we think. We don't know.
But
Try
again,
it. Pay first.
But again, that's one of those things that's like nothing is verifiable for the story. It's so weird.
Yeah. But, either way, it's fun.
Yeah. But as paranormal tourism grew, because people were hearing about all this weird stuff and were wanting to see it, they had to lock the area down.
Oh, they put up barbed wire? Armed security?
Armed security.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Trespassing skyrocketed. People left trash. They vandalized the ruins. Humans did stupid human shit.
Yeah.
And so eventually DEFA closed access completely. But it was open for a while for people to just wander. Obviously, people ruined it. But so there's a lot of fun stories on the online.
On the online, you're old as shit.
Yeah. Where people were like, yeah, I was just able to walk right up to it. And we could check out the ruins. And that's where I got a lot of the weird stories
Ruins
of like
you tried to get me to buy the other day? People just made a bunch of fucking ruins.
Those are runes. Runes. Different.
Oh.
Anyway, yeah, so DEFA closed completely. Nobody's allowed there now. And it is heavily patrolled. Like, there are stories of people that were like, oh, like my mom said when she was a teen, she went, so I tried to go. And when we got to the road, like the access point, cops just sitting outside the entryways constantly.
I go hang out with them.
Yeah.
Like, when do you switch off? When is this unoccupied? And then how long till the next time? Because I want to know how long I got to be in there.
Isn't that weird, though?
That is.
Especially because it does sound like it's just normal trespassing. Like, yes, they wanted to conserve it, but if they wanted to add recreation, then you'd think it's just normal trespassing.
Did they try to go on like a regular Tuesday afternoon?
I don't know.
Like, is it always? I got to know that.
Yeah.
Somebody near Connecticut, near this area, go figure it out for me, please. Let us know.
No, it sounds like it's always.
I want to know.
Like, there's always cops outside there.
Like, I want to know. And if so, like, one of these cops at some point's got to talk, like, why they have to do that. That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, entering without permission can earn you a hefty fine, apparently.
Ooh.
The official reason that they crack down so hard is environmental protection. But a lot of people do believe that they're hiding something a lot stranger.
Yeah, because to have hefty fines and police protection in just this specific part of the forestry.
Yeah, even if they're not there constantly, it's enough that people that have tried to go said there were several cops sitting outside.
Yeah, like, you have any idea how many other parts of the forestry have been desecrated and vandalized, and you know, people fucking litter everywhere. They don't have security there.
Yeah.
24-hour people fucking hanging out in all those places.
It's very weird.
There's got to be something more.
There has to be.
Like a portal.
And here's where the rabbit hole goes deep. Some popular theories and rumors include...
Sam Squanch.
Nope. A dimensional rift.
Oh, look at me.
Many believe Dudleytown is located on a spiritual thin spot or vortex. Visitors report losing time, getting disoriented, or hearing voices that seem to echo from nowhere. And did I mention the whispering? Did I mention the whispering? If I did, I didn't cover it enough.
Some people hear it.
Yeah. Some people have reported being there and hearing as if there's like several people in the woods around them just whispering to each other.
Oh, yeah.
Or like the trees are whispering at you.
That might be it, too.
Yeah.
They say trees are alive. Like, obviously, they're alive. But, I mean...
Yeah, sentient.
More sentient than we've ever believed.
So that's super weird. And that would make sense why so many people reported seeing things come out of the woods at night.
Yeah.
If it's a thin spot, things just happen to pop through the portal on accident, maybe?
They're just checking it out. They're like, dude, this is human Earth, huh? Oh, shit, there's something. They slap the shit out of it and run back.
Maybe. Some people believe there are aliens.
They're just slapping the shit out of people and running back.
No, nobody really thinks slapping people.
Well, you said earlier that people are getting the shit kicked out of them and going crazy.
I didn't say, well, kind of, I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
But because some people have reported strange lights, like I said.
Mm-hmm.
And so weird, unexplained creatures. It's an idea.
Absolutely.
Some people think that it could be a Native American burial ground.
Oh, I brought that one up earlier, too. I think I'm getting all these.
I think so.
Let's see. We should have fucking had a tic-tac-toe.
A
That's not what it
tic-tac-toe.
is. No.
Nope.
A checklist.
Yeah.
Something like that. No. X's.
Another story insists that the settlers that founded Dudleytown desecrated sacred ground and that the land is cursed because of that.
Mm-hmm. I get that.
Yeah. However, no formal evidence supports this.
Or any of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or any of it. So, some people think DEFA was formed because Dudleytown really is extremely haunted, and Dr. Clark wanted to keep people safe and away from whatever is there, because it made his first wife lose her mind, and maybe he saw something too and was like, no, we have to protect people. Can't let people in. But yeah, so that's a wild theory that I kind of think I lean towards that one, maybe. That's why DEFA was formed, was to protect more people.
Maybe. Yeah.
Especially since the doctor already owned all that land. Why not just
say,
save?
hey, you can't come here.
Yeah.
But who's funding the police to fucking guard it?
That's fair.
That's where I'm confused.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's why I want somebody to go check it out. Is it like legit? There's always cops there? That's why I said random Tuesday morning.
Yeah, maybe.
Tuesday morning is an obscure time to go check out a paranormal or fucking, scary trespass place.
That would be cool to know. We are not telling people to go.
But if you drive by the road and see if there's a cop,
Yeah, let us
that's
know.
what I mean.
Other people believe that DEFA is hiding something else and that they created this whole lore. And that's why so much of it is unverifiable, because they themselves made all of it up to try to hide something else.
They are saying that, America could potentially be the ancient land.
Yeah.
I bring this up on like every one of our podcasts now, I believe. The Tataria stuff. But like believing that we are ancient land and they could have found something and they're like, hey, we can't let nobody else in here. This is our secret. And that would explain why they got cops out there.
Oh, maybe. That's not even where I was taking it. I was taking it to a place of like government conspiracy type thing.
Like Area 51 type shit?
Yeah.
Yeah, that too. I'm saying.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different reasons.
So what do you think? What's hiding there?
Oh, a lot of different stuff. There's a portal, there's aliens, there's a lot of different shit.
You think all of it?
Oh, I don't know. I'm a skeptic, so it could be any of them or none of them.
Yeah.
Could just be some rich guy says, hey, I don't want nobody on our fucking property, so we're going to pay off the local PD to keep people the fuck away from here, and we're going to make up some stories.
Maybe. There is another theory. This one's a bit more wild, but more plausible.
Okay.
Back then, I guess a lot of people were eating moldy rye bread a lot, especially this area that had no stores, no roads.
Yeah.
So the chances are high that they were just eating old food. And I guess moldy rye bread causes a lot of hallucinations, and that could explain the people going insane.
Especially prolonged exposure
Yeah.
to mold. Yeah.
But then don't you think more people would have hallucinations than just the 3?
I mean, there's probably more that we didn't report on, that we didn't look up directly.
Well, maybe, but there were only ever 26 families that lived in Dudleytown.
True, and there could be other parts where they didn't, explain the extent of their hallucinations, or they didn't understand that they were having hallucinations. Maybe they weren't as allergic to the mold, so maybe they didn't experience it to such a level. Maybe they didn't eat as much of the rye bread. They're like, ew, rye, that shit's gross.
That's fair.
Wheat only for me. Whole grain.
But you'd also think if it was so common for people to be eating moldy rye bread at that time, that we'd hear a lot more hallucination stories from that era.
I mean, maybe if you look into it, you might be able to find more of that. But I don't think that that's just like parts of history that they just share openly.
Maybe. But yeah, like I said, a ton of different theories.
Absolutely.
Most of them paranormal, not all of them.
They could all be right. They could all not be.
Yeah, I don't know.
Could be a sprinkle of each.
It's very weird. So what is Dudleytown?
A peculiar place for sure.
Is it a cursed settlement abandoned by time?
Maybe.
A hotspot of paranormal activity?
Possibly.
A place where nature simply reclaimed the chaos humans left behind?
Could be.
Maybe it's all of the above.
Maybe it is a sacred burial ground.
Maybe it's none.
Maybe it's not.
But one thing is certain.
One thing is?
The legend persists.
For sure.
Despite no official records of hauntings, UFOs, or missing persons, the stories continue to multiply. The forest has grown thick and heavy over what once was, and sometimes, when the wind is just right, it sounds like the trees are whispering. Whether it's cursed bloodlines, spectral figures, or secrets hidden by the very earth, Dudleytown has earned its reputation as one of the creepiest places in America.
Allegedly.
So yeah, let us know what you guys think is behind it.
And if you're near there, let us know what's behind it.
Or if you've ever gone.
Yeah, and if the fucking cops are there on random, if they're always there.
Yeah.
Because if they are, there's something more than just,
Yeah.
There's
There
something.
has to be. Yeah.
Well, that's all I had on this week's episode.
And yeah, I think that's everything I had. If you or somebody you know has had a brush with the paranormal and you would like to have that story read on the pod, please email it to anxiousatbedtimepodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on social media. We have
Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
TikTok.
Yep.
Instagram.
Yeah.
YouTube.
We do.
Threads.
Oh
yeah.
I think that's it.
Follow us on all platforms where you get your podcast from. The world can be a scary place with a bunch of random shit going on, people hallucinating and Some unexplained death for sure, this Dudleytown. There's probably a lot more places like that, but, I mean, we're probably fine.
We're probably fine.
We're probably fine.
Sleep tight.
Sleep tight. And stay away from Dudleytown unless you want to fucking figure out if there's cops there all the time. But just drive by. Shh.